Good evening, everyone. Listen, welcome to a special episode of Sis Table Talk. We're usually on a Thursday night, but tonight we have a very special presentation. We are talking about Money Matters with the one and only Dr. Natalie, with Monique Russell. Listen, we are with a group of dynamic women that understand that money in our community matters. Dr. Natalie and Monique are financial consultants in the financial industry and are committed to educating minorities, families of color, communities of color, how to manage their finances better. And if you know, one of the strongest beliefs with the CIS network is that we make sure that we're financially stable. We make sure that we're financially free, and we're focusing on goals of creating generational wealth. So Dr. Natalie, I want to thank you so much. Monique, I want to thank you so much. Again, this is a special episode of Sis Table Talk. We are going to have Q&A at the end, so please take out your notebooks. If you have any questions, write your questions down. Dr. Natalie and Monique, thank you so much. Once again, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay. All right. Am I all set here? All right, let me go ahead and share the screen.
Okay.
That screen share. There you go. Okay, give me 1 second. Ooh, see everything. Okay, screen share is there? All right, awesome. Good evening, ladies, and welcome. As Monique said, my name is Dr. Natalie Lillebois, also known as Dr. Nat, and I'm so glad to be here tonight to talk to you about money. I've been an educator for over 30 years, a principal, a reading specialist, a classroom teacher, an administrator, you name it. And nowhere in that entire time have I ever had a class called money. Have you? It's the number one thing that moves this world, and it's so essential for us, but it's amazing that it escapes us that it's not taught in schools. Well, today I'm here with my business partner, Monique Russell, to share some nuggets about how money works with you. Monique's in the healthcare field, and she'll introduce herself in a moment. And both of us work together to share financial information to help families improve their relationship with money. How does that sound? Are you ready to have a better relationship with your money? So, by a show of hands, how many of you want to get out of debt? How many of you are ready to build some savings? And how many of you just want to be on the path to financial independence? Well, no matter what your income level, you can achieve financial security. If you take the time to learn these few simple things, these principles about how money works, and they're so important, but they're sort of hidden. They're sort of hidden in plain sight kind of things. They're these kind of gems floating around out there that we have to find and share with each other when we find them. So the first thing you need to do is take control. And how do we do that? It's one of the most important things you can do is take control of your money. You want to have control over your money so your money is not controlling you. Did you know that one of the biggest financial mistakes most people make is dependence? Dependence on others allows outside factors into your life, and it starts to control your life. The secret to financial security is learning to take control of the things that you can control. And what does that look like? Well, we know we can't control the future of Social Security. You can't control your employer. Look at how many people lost their jobs during COVID and during the supply chain demands, et cetera, et cetera. We definitely know we can't control taxes, no matter how much we wish and pray that we could. We can't control inflation. Inflation was up to over 9% for the first time in many, many years. And now we're hovering around 8.5%, which is really high. We can't control rising costs. I know you've all noticed that when you go grocery shopping, everything has gotten more and more expensive, and the size portions have gotten smaller. You should take a look at that as well. And we can't control the risk of a single investment. Well, what can you control? If those are all the things you can't control, what is it that you do have control over? Well, on the other side of that chart, We have savings for retirement. You can control how you save for your retirement. You can control other sources of income. You might want to have a side hustle or two or three, as some people do. You might find ways to reduce your taxes, and we have ways that we could share with you. You want to maximize your savings. There's a number of different ways and a number of different plans you can be using to save money in a variety of ways. You want to save more money, and you can diversify your investment choices. So those are some of the things that you can control that we're here to share with you tonight. So in order to take control, some of the things you want to think about right away would be paying yourself first. That's the number one rule. You want to pay yourself first. You might need to adjust your priorities, change your thinking, your mindset about money and how money works and moves in your life. You want to adjust your lifestyle. You might need to earn additional income. That's those side hustles that I talked about. You definitely want to avoid the credit trap, and you want to make sure you set goals and have a plan. And listen, Monique and I are here to create a customized financial game plan for you to help you reach your goals and to help you get on the path of financial success. So let's talk about pay yourself first. It's likely that you're paying everyone else. You're paying the utility bills and the mortgage and Netflix and Optimum and cable and the gas company, and the list goes on and on and on. You've paid everybody else first. The problem is that at the end of the month, when you've done that, most people don't have extra money left over for savings. So the solution is to pay yourself first. Rather than wait till the end after you've paid everything else, you pay yourself first. Try to set aside 10% of your income to pay yourself because you're the single most important person in that relationship, right? Remember, it's a relationship with your money, not being lorded over by your money. You're the most important person, so you need to pay yourself first. And the way you prioritize your savings um, then allows you to adjust the remainder to cover your debt, right? So, how many people pay themselves first, and how much of that money are you paying yourself right now? So, what happens when you do that? There are three basic accounts. I'm trying to move this bar so it's not in the way. There are three basic accounts that you might need to have, you should have in order to save your money, right? So, you want to have your money allocated into three different funds. The first type of fund is the oh crap fund. That's the emergency fund when something happens that is completely unexpected. And we're talking about 3 to 6 months worth of your salary. And if you don't have that, what you might want to do is start with a certain amount, like $1,000, and build your way up until you have that amount saved. Those are for things like, car repair, sudden car repair, something happens unexpected in the house. Those are those oh crap moments where you're like, I need a lot of money all at once, right? And come on now, let's define emergency. Emergency is not a sale at Macy's. Emergency means something that really needs to be taken care of immediately and that you need to draw money from sources. And we don't want to be using credit cards to do that and creating more debt. So it's really important. And think about it. How many of you have someone you can depend on to give you $1,000 at the drop of a hat because you have an emergency, right? That's going to be really hard to find and be able to get from someone. And you don't want to be that person either for someone else because you want to protect your own savings. So if you have an emergency fund, you're all set with that part of the program. The next type of account you need to have is a short-term savings. And short-term savings, this money is set aside for expenses you might want to purchase. Something's coming up. It's not quite as immediate as the emergency funds, but it might be something that's coming up very shortly. So, for example, you need new tires, or you're going to need a new computer because your computer's starting to have bugs and act up. So, it's coming. So, before it becomes an emergency, you start putting money in this bucket so that when you have time or when you're ready, you have the money allocated for that. So that you're not dipping into emergency and you're not dipping into credit to do those things. So this short-term account is also 100% accessible, and it could also be available to you at a moment's notice, and it might be earning a higher interest rate depending on where you put it. And your third bucket is your long-term savings. Now, this is money that we really don't want to touch. These are investments. This is your college fund. These are things like your 401k, any kind of mutual funds, etc. And these investment vehicles, because they're long-term, they have a higher potential for a higher rate of return over time. And that's something that we're going to talk a little bit more about as we go on with the presentation. So again, those three basic accounts are your emergency fund, your short-term savings, and your long-term savings or investments. And I lost my mouse. So someone once said, the only two things life gives you are opportunities and time. Now, time combined with rate of return and consistency is a powerful key to achieving financial security. So, what do I mean by that? Let's take a look at an example. So, this example is gonna highlight the fact that it pays to start investing early, right? If you take a look at what it says on the screen, a one-time investment of $1,000. Let's say your parents put away $1,000 for you when you were born, right? And it was returning a 9% rate of return. Now, clearly at 9%, this is not in your regular bank, right? Because your banks are giving you what? Maybe 0.03, 0.05. If you're getting 9%, I need you to drop that in the chat and let us know where you're getting that. So what's your bank averaging right now? So if you left this money untouched until you turned 67, that money with just the 9% rate of return and no additional payments would have come up to $406,466, right? And that's if they invested it at birth. If they invested at age 16, that money would still have grown, but look at the difference. 16 years later, if they started, it would have been $96,822. And if you started investing it yourself at $1,000, 9% rate of return at age 40, and again, we're going to 67, it would be $11,256. And this is a hypothetical, obviously. But look at the difference between the time value of money. The longer you invest money at a higher rate of return, obviously the more you're going to have. And that's called compound interest. The next big piece that we want to talk about is paying off debt. And this is one of the biggest threats to your financial security. Um, it's the most significant thing. So who doesn't have debt, right? Everyone has some sort of debt. They make it look easy. They give you the money to get the things you want right now, right? And we're a quick gratification type of society, right? Buy now, pay later. Buy now, pay later, but you pay a lot later. Here a card, there a card, everywhere a credit card. The very fact that it's so common makes it the biggest threat to your financial well-being. So how many credit cards do you have right now? Think about that. And we're going to take a look at what happens with credit cards and compound interest. So we talked about compound interest working in your favor, but compound interest can also work against you. So this is what happens with credit cards. In the example we looked at before, compound interest worked in your favor. You made a one-time investment of $1,000 with a 9% rate of return. That became almost $500,000 over time. When you have debt, it works in reverse. Take a look at this example using a typical credit card with an 18% interest rate. Now, if you make a one-time purchase of $3,000 um, with an 18% rate with no new purchases and you make only the minimum payments, it's going to take you 10 years to pay off that card. And you're going to end up paying $2,000, 2,000 additional dollars in interest. So that initial $3,000 purchase is actually going to cost you $5,000. So that's what the banks are lending you money for. And one of the things I want to point out is that this is an 18% credit card. I'm going to give you a little bit of homework. Take a look at your credit cards and see what your percentages are. The percentages range anywhere from, if you're lucky, somewhere 12%, you might have a 12%, all the way up to 29%. So you're paying even more than that. And sometimes it's the same bank that's only giving you that 0.01 to 0.03. So you might be banking with the same bank. So your savings are not even making the same amount as what you're paying in when you borrow money. Because this is basically a loan, right? They're lending you money. You're paying interest on that loan. But when you save money with them, you're not making that kind of money, right? So what kind of deal is that? Who takes that deal? So each month, your balance is the principal plus the interest. So that's the compounded part that gets compounded over and over and over again over time. So it's easy to see how a small debt can grow large with compound interest. So you're going to say, well, Natalie, Monique, like, what can we do about that? Like, how do we get out of that? How do we make that? How do we change that? So one of the things we can do is talk about debt stacking. And debt stacking is a model that we use. And we don't want it to seem overwhelming, right? Debt sometimes seems like, oh my God, it's never going away. It keeps growing. I need things. I have to get them. My kids need things, et cetera, et cetera. So the idea of debt stacking is this. Let me just move this along a little bit. Get this out of the way. So with debt stacking, if you take a look at the first column, those are the bills that you're paying. This is a hypothetical, obviously. This is somebody's set of bills. This is what they're paying. And the total of that is $2,720, right? This is what they pay monthly already. So what you want to do with debt stacking and what the system we use does is it will order these in order of either highest interest to lowest or the most like the most beneficial to you, like what would be the easiest one to pay off first and then moving to the next and next. What you do with that, hold on, I think I'm missing a screen. No, maybe not. So what you do is once you pay off that first card, you see that 220. Instead of saying, yeah, I have 220 extra dollars to go to the Macy's sale. No, no, no. What you're going to do is add that to the second credit card and you're going to increase that 353 payment to 573. So what is that going to do for you? It's going to reduce the amount of the compounding interest that's taking place. And it's also going to cut this card down much faster than if you just paid the 353 that you were originally paying, right? What happens when you pay off that 573 card, what that 353 card with the 573 and you get it down, move it to the next payment. You move it to the next thing and you double this doubles your car payment. So now you're paying double your car payment, right? And we haven't changed what we're expending each month. If you look across the bottom, same exact amount, just being done differently. So all we're doing is reallocating how you're spending your money so that you're making the most significant change to your debt over time. And then you would continue that for the rest of the credit cards and even your mortgage. If your mortgage is the last one, you'd be paying your mortgage way faster. Wouldn't it be nice for your house to be paid off? So you begin by making these consistent payments, right, on all your debt. When you pay off your first debt, you add that amount to the amount you're already paying. And then these extra dollars help reduce the effect of the compound interest that we talked about. And you just keep moving them along until you get to the end of that. So the same amount of money is going to your bills each month, but the way it's allocated changes to reduce your debt faster and to target those high interest credit cards. So ladies, what we said before, we can certainly do this for you with a complimentary digital financial needs analysis. It's your game plan. I mentioned it before. We need you to get your financial game plan and get your game on. So now I'm going to turn the next part of the presentation over to Monique, who's going to cover the rule of 72, which is another important thing you need to be aware of, and additional important financial information. Monique?
Awesome. So Nat, just do me a favor. I'll just kind of do one of these just to change the slide for me. But I hope you guys are enjoying this so much so far. Like Natalie said, I am a registered nurse. I came from the background of social work. So I was a social worker first. I used to do therapy and one-on-one counseling with special needs children and young adults. Then I moved in to become an RN, went back and got my bachelor's degree. And then I decided that when this fell into my lap, I took it on, right? So all of you out there who are listening to this information, I really got interested in this when someone taught me the exact same rules from the exact same company. And I now have been with this company over 8 years now. I'm fully licensed. And this is what I absolutely am passionate about and love to do. So as we said, one of the things that you want to do in any area of your life is take an action step. Nothing happens without the action. You can think about losing weight. You can think about buying the car. You can think about saving for your home. And again, as human beings, we constantly are thinking. Then we get extremely exhausted from thinking. And then we typically don't take actions, or we take actions that we already know. So for instance, again, if you really had a goal to honestly lose 25 pounds by December and walk into Christmas dinner like a beast, right? You're not the best person to coach you on that because you already gotten yourself to that goal already. Knowing is not enough. We clearly all need to, work out more, eat less. That's pretty much it, right? Work out more, eat less. But if you were already getting that goal, and I'm using this as an analogy, right? If you were already getting that goal, you would have gotten that goal. So be okay with that. The best things in our society have coaches. I was mentored first while I was going through nursing school. And when I became a nurse, I had a mentor who was shadowing me while I was working, right? In this industry, I had a mentor. There are professional athletes in our world who are paid millions upon millions. We're talking about 60 million per season. They have an entire team. Wouldn't it be fair to say that they're professional enough? They've been doing this career for over 30, 40 years now. Why do they need a coach for? But they're completely personal trainer for the legs, personal trainer for the upper body. They probably have a physical therapist. They have a regular coach, a disc coach, a special doctor for all. Why? Because you want to get the best results and you also want to be responsible of your time. Time, right? So I love the picture that we have of a tree and money. We don't have forever. We do not have forever. And there's this idea sometimes that we casually just go, what I didn't do today, I can make up tomorrow. There is no such thing. When the day completes, it is over. There's no, I'm going to catch up on sleep that I missed a couple of days ago. It's over. So I share this with you because I would like to be extremely empathetic because I've been there and I understand it. But that is why you have someone in your corner like myself and Natalie, who are your cheerleaders. And what a great opportunity for Natalie and I, who both already come from therapeutic, helping fields, that all we do is help people. We give you everything, all the information, all the strategies. And think about it, the companies that you spend all your money on every month, I'm not going to mention all them, right? But let's just say who you pay your car insurance to, who you pay your healthcare to, the grocery stores, the banks that you go to. Do they ever call you and say, and I love the fact that Monique and I have the same name, but will they ever call Ms. Denton up and say, by the way, I mean, you've been a loyal customer for us for like 10 years. Is there anything we can do to hit your goals and dreams in any other area in your life? Why? Because their job is not to find solutions, and that's really what our company is all about. Right? So one of the things and the most powerful tools, and I can honestly stop the presentation right here, is the rule of 72. So if you have a camera or you're online, please just take a photo real quick on your phone and lock this in. It's one of the most powerful tools and powerful forces that we had as per Albert Einstein, right? Now, I make the joke all the time. Let's just say that the three of us here on this Zoom right now that you can see the top pictures, let's say the three of us all had the same grandmother. And on the day we were all born, our grandmother was like, look, I love these three girls. And Monique 1 and Monique 2, because our mom was crazy and she named 2 kids Monique, right? And we're both at 3 and 6%, right? So look at that, right? You already, without even going over more, I know everybody's looking at the slides, right? So actually I'm 3%, Natalie is 6%, and Miss Denton is 12%. Do you realize what, let's see what it's in common. Grandma invested the same amount of money, check. Time passed, check, that's it. Now, what the major difference is what the account can do. So what you don't know can hurt you. So for instance, I know probably some of you right now have investment accounts and portfolios. Oh, Monique, it's just on, I have them. Would you want to know now or know later when it's time to access those accounts for your future? When would you like to know if it was actually designed for you? Number 2, most of us have 401k plan, right? Retirement plans. How often does those people call you to just check on you? Have they ever done a financial needs analysis designed based on who you are, your life, what's going on, and make sure that it's customized to help you reach your goals and dreams? I meet so many clients, and some clients want a goat farm when they get older, and some people want to live it up, okay? But your plans have to be according to that, right? So let's just look at what happens at Miss Denton, right? $2.5 million. Now, she loves us. We're her sisters. But is it her responsibility, honestly, to cut us out checks for the rest of our life? No. So what you don't know can hurt you. And how did we come up with this rule? Well, basically, almost any in the S&P 500 over the 10 to 12 years, all these accounts yield about a 10 to 12% rate of return. So this is not something that is not happening. It's, are you part of it or not? And you definitely can reach out to us and ask us questions, and we'll be giving you all this stuff free, completely. And as you can see, it's really just how your money doubles. Right? So please, I hope you took screenshots of that, because that's like my favorite end all be all, right? So again, think about where you are in retirement right now, and then think about where you're going. Next slide. All right, so this is a great snapshot again about just the power of not knowing your interest, right? So Natalie talked about credit card debt, right? Now, do you realize that credit card companies per government had to put how much interest you're going to pay? It's on the top of all the bills now. So completely open, completely sharing what they're doing to us in our face, right? That's kind of like the joke that calories are on the screen now when you order something and it still makes no difference, right? But look at this. If you invest $100 a month and you're getting 4.5%, and like Natalie said, there's no bank right now that's offering you that, right? And let's say that you were also getting a fair 9% in the market with your money invested. From the day you were born up until 40, do you see how that's almost $1 million saved? Guys, did you break the piggy bank by saving $100 a month? Right now, please don't shout out, but right now, there are people on this call who I'm gonna say that spends more in liquid a month. Pick your group. You buy coffee at the gas station, you buy it at Dunkin' Donuts, you buy it at Starbucks. But you spend more than $100 a month on a warm liquid. Right? And here's the only reason why we do that haphazardly without really thinking, man, I should also be putting this away from my nest egg so I can live the quality of life that I want. We don't have enough people in our circle cheerleading this, right? Would it be cool if our friends all learned the same information that we're sharing with you? So when it's time to maybe have a party or do something, you all create, you know what? We go out once a month, because remember how we all want to reach for our goals and dreams? What if friends and families were having these kind of conversations as opposed to posting on things like, somebody has an emergency right now, can you lend me, right? So again, Natalie and I come from careers that we help people after, right? I mean, she gets the kids to teach, I'm getting people at an emergency, right? What if we prepared, right? What if your kids could have a tutor immediately because you know you want to get them in a certain college and you can afford the extra, right? And again, this is only applicable to your goals and dreams. If that's not for you, don't worry about it, right? But I'm telling you, we would do more if we could. I know there's a lot of people out there who would send their kids to swimming, horseback riding, sailing, summer camps in different countries. The only reason we don't think about it is because we look at our bank account and our bank account goes, they're going to the local community, or they're going in the backyard for the pool that I purchased, right? As opposed to, wow, I have money accumulated so that when the time comes up, I have choices on what I want to do, right? Next slide. Right, so here's just a couple common mistakes for our credit, not valuing it. There's so many credit card companies right now that as you pay your credit card, you'll see your credit score right there. Pay attention to it, take care of it, baby it. Unfortunately, again, if you're not a super millionaire, your credit card score matters, right? And even if you do have money, you still want to actually get why would you want to pay more just because you have more? So use your credit as an opportunity to take care of you, right? So and monitoring credit score and interest rates and fees. I say this all the time. Your bank across the United States is yielding about 0.05% on a savings account, but you have no problem walking into Macy's, dinner, the grocery store, and swiping a card and says, thank you, Capital One, Visa, American Express. They're like, thank you, Ms. Denton. You're the, oh God, we love it when you swipe this card, because we make 18 to 24% of what you just spent, but your own cash at the bank is earning 0.05%. Again, how many credit card companies call you to help you solve problems and do better? So there's a plethora of things that Natalie and I do. We help people look at where they are currently and find ways to reduce their expenditure so that that money can go back into what's the most important thing we're talking about today: saving, right? Because again, if you think about the number that you're spending every month, when Natalie went over the debt stacking, right? Imagine 2K coming back to you every month. Now, this is not for everything. I don't want you to feel like this is a diet and, oh my God, I gotta like do this for 6 weeks. And then this is about quality of life. And if you hit your goal, do whatever you want. We will be cheerleading you all the way, okay? And next slide, thanks, Nat. Right? So life insurance is a topic that we always talk about. Now, I come from the healthcare industry. And remember, I was a social worker first. Now, I always share this because it's very close to my heart, but my best friend got married super young. She had 4 kids, like, okay, I'm a social worker at the time. I already had finished nursing school, but I'm like a brand new nurse. And I learned about this information. Who am I going to share it with? My best friend. I'm like, girl, guess what? You know, we're supposed to save in our retirement account. And she's like, no way. And I'm like, girl, do you know that you're supposed to have life insurance? Like my mom and your kids and all. So she got so excited because I'm obviously sharing something that's important to my best friend, right? Who else are we supposed to talk about these amazing, important topics with, right? Why are we talking about a movie? She goes, Monique, my husband and I need everything that you were talking about. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad. Within 1 week, my best friend was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. Now, because I'm a little bit more mature and emotionally a little bit better from that situation, of course, what did I, oh my goodness, not fair. What's going to happen to her family? Can't some company cover her for life insurance? Now, I'm being honest, great person. She was a social worker as well. She worked at this amazing church out on Long Island. And at the same time, being nice and good makes no difference when our time comes, okay? She did not make it. She passed away about a year. And do you realize that one of the things that fired me up was, if we had known earlier in our life, we would have done better. That means child number 1, child number 2, child number 3, child number 4. No one sat down and grabbed her by the arms and told her and her husband, don't you think it's important protecting your life if God forbid something happens to these 4 children that you love? And then I realized, wait a minute, if you and I know each other and you're the first person who's hearing about this, and I just learned about this, wait a minute, and nobody in my circle has spoken to me about this. Wait a minute, you mean all my sophisticated, educated, we're driving nice cars, we're going to fancy dinners, we look great, but none of us are having this conversation. So that was just something that it really honestly impacted me and impacted on, here I am as a healthcare worker, helping people in the emergency when guess what? They can't get this when they're in the emergency. But you mean go advocate for people before something happens? Wait, I can do that. That's all social work. That's just caring about people. So when I realized I could do this based on just having a good heart, swoosh, right? So again, this is going to be just kind of a little snippet on life insurance, right? So let's just go a little further than that. So how much is your car worth? And do you insure it? You're not allowed to buy a car if you don't have car insurance. I hope you all know that. And I would say like not somebody's backyard you bought a car from, okay? But you have to have car insurance. How much is your house worth? Do you know you can't close on a home without homeowners insurance? But you could have a baby, walk out of the hospital, all the nurses wave to you, goodbye, oh my goodness, so cute. And not one person will ask you, God forbid if you guys don't make it home, do you have something protecting your child and their quality of life? So can you see, we can't not afford to not have this conversation. So again, Natalie and I are here. Again, there's no cost. Everything is just a conversation on bettering you. We give you a free complimentary game plan to show you if you're on track. Natalie, next slide. So if you think about how life insurance works, because some people believe that it's supposed to be for life, right? Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. Most of us have cars, right? And when you buy auto insurance, can you imagine having like a Honda Accord, but you're paying a Ferrari price for car insurance? You'd be like, excuse me, somebody wrote Ferrari. I don't drive a Ferrari and I don't want to pay the Ferrari price, right? So as we move on later in life, our lifestyle changes, right? So I want you to picture this, right? In the early years of our life, most people, right, typically have more responsibilities. They might have young children, education debt or housing debt might be high, right? That means the things that they are working every day to take care of, if they lost their income, those things could collapse. With me? Great. But as time goes on, especially working with us, because these are the things we're encouraging you to do, take care of your mortgage. Make sure your children know how to save their own money because they're not your bank account when you're older. People on this, watching this right now, when your children are 21, you're no longer their bank account. Don't worry, Natalie and I will hold your hand as you have that depression moment. Come in, right? But if you're teaching your kids earlier to be independent, your purse is not open for the rest of your life. I have clients who meet with me and they're like, oh, I think my child will be mature around 25 or maybe 26, Monique. Why is your purse open that long? What skills did they not learn with you that they're dependent on your purse that long? So the earlier that we work with you, the earlier that we start even teaching. So this presentation that we actually have a magazine and it's called How Money Works for Children. And you have conversations from kids from the 9 up to 18 to instill in them to win, okay? So it's so important. Now, again, life insurance and protecting it. As your things decrease, hint, hint, children, guess what you get to do? You get to not need what you need, okay? So if you don't need a Maserati car insurance anymore, you don't need a big life insurance policy anymore if your house is paid off and your kids are grown. The problem with our society is that we're never getting rid of bills. So now you have someone who's 70 or 60 calling me like, can I get life insurance? Where's your money? Where's 30,000 stashed somewhere that God forbid if something happened to you, you could use that. And where's the rest of the cash for you to live on? So please, a life insurance policy is not your retirement account. And Natalie and I have all the skills and the empathy to understand that this is constantly happening to us. They make us more excited about protecting our cell phone, our car, our house, right? So you probably protect your family, you protect your income, simultaneously saving like what we just showed you with the rule of 72. All right, next slide, let's do this. And as you can see, right, this is the stuff that I instill to my clients all the time. So here's a couple of concepts, and I know it might be uncomfortable to hear, right? You might be going, Monique, I have the product that you're talking about. First off, you're above ground, whoop, whoop. Next thing, let's have a conversation about it, right? I never deem anything wrong until I actually sit down. Can you imagine me as a nurse telling the doctor, yeah, you should just diagnose this person with this, and the doctor hasn't walked in the room yet? No, we honestly investigate first and find out where you are, right? But these are just some things to kind of think about. You know, Susie Orman is one of the people who talks about finance on TV. She's great. She talks about never buying cash value, whole life or universal life, right? And the reason is because guess what most of us are still missing with these kind of plans? Cash. I'm talking about liquidity, cash, access to cash. So please, we don't want you to have the Maserati of life insurance. And then when we ask you, can you feed yourself in the next 10 years and you're worried? That's our goal, to alleviate and solve problems, right? Never buy life insurance as an investment. Natalie and I can share with you many of the clients that we met that just because the person sounded great, they didn't realize that they were buying a life insurance plan. They thought it was a college plan. Guys, there are plans that actually are called college plans. 529, Coverdell's, okay? They actually have the word college in them. But again, what you don't know, right? So I want to be honest, all of us are ignorant. We've been ignorant for a long time because this is not a table conversation in families. And I'm not talking about just the way I look, I'm talking about across America, right? So the people you love, the people you dine with, the people that you're there when an emergency occurs. If you're not talking about it and providing a solution, that means they're not talking about it to you and providing you a solution. Okay, next slide. That was my tough part of this whole presentation. I hope you guys are nice, okay? Taxes. So we always talk about the importance of how many of us want to pay a lot of taxes. Okay, if you're not sure, let's all talk at tax time. When we're sitting with our tax advisor, like, so, what you got for me, right? Because we don't want to overpay to the government, right? Next slide. So these are just some great investment vehicles. Remember, I'm on a live stream meeting, but this is real, okay? You can Google this all you want. This is available, right? And they're a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA. And I'm just going to highlight the Roth IRA, right? What it is an account that some people can qualify for. You have to have a certain income bracket to be able to qualify for it, right? But you can actually contribute about $6,000 into the account. And I want you to highlight tax-free, tax-free. Now, why is this so powerful? Do you know that your current 401k account that you have at your job will be taxed? No. Yes, some of you have a Roth IRA at your job that handles different. I'm talking about your 401k. All right. So whatever number you have in that account, let's just take off the top 20 to 25% of that belongs to the government. But it's my money from my nest egg. It hasn't been taxed yet by Uncle Sam. It's growing tax deferred. However, your Roth IRA is growing tax-free. So when it's time to withdraw that money, you don't have to pay any dues on the capital gains or the growth. What? So again, every time Natalie and I sit down with clients, they're like, I mean, I kind of heard about this, but again, repetition is everything. This is why we teach kids the same subjects every single year in school till 12th grade. We just increase it a little bit. But when you leave high school, there's almost no more education on the things and the fundamentals that are really important to us as adults, right? Imagine us all getting a financial needs analysis at the end of high school. Monique Russell, what would you like to do with your life? Well, I want to be able to live like this. I want to be able to have this kind of car. I really want to live in this kind of city. Great. The income bracket that you're going to need to be able to qualify for that kind of lifestyle is this. If you want to be able to retire at 55, you're going to have to at least save this much money starting now to reach that goal. Even if the kids crumble it up, they could never say those. Look, when it's about you, you kind of never forget. So trust me, all right? Once it's about you, we all love talking about ourselves. So your free financial needs analysis is all about you. All right, next slide, Nat. So I know this is just a little tiny, but I want you to take a look at the blue side of the screen. So again, you may be, past this age, but it's okay, right? So when I do sit down with my clients, especially in their 22, I call them my baby clients, right? If you can see that from age 22 to 29, which is about like 7 or 8 years, they fully fund their Roth IRA. And as you can see, that's $6,000 in eight years. At the end of the 8 years, it's $73,000. Woo! But as you can see, the rest of it's all grayed out. What happened? They never added a dollar to the account again. If you jump all the way down to the blue and the gray box at the bottom, you'll see they only put away $48,000. Again, they put away 48, it grew to 73, but how much do they have when the time is retirement time comes? 2.2 million. How are we all missing this? How are we all not having $1 million saved by the time of retirement, even if we are not smart or brilliant? Because no one knows. We all drop money when kids are born. I mean, the amount of money that gets dropped when a brand new baby comes into this world is ridiculous. I'm talking about toys that will never see the light of day, clothes that will never get worn because they outgrew them faster than the child could wear them. But no one sits and encourages, hey, if you just put $25 on the day they were born, or at least by the time they're 22, put some money away, they'll be completely financially free. Now, if you look onto the other side, where most of us all end up, we get real serious about our future when we start feeling the pain and gains of work. Oh my God, am I going to do this forever? How long do I have to do this? So around 30 years old, now someone sits down like us. Look how long they'll have to contribute in the account. They will have to put $200,000 away to just equal the same amount if you had just done it when you were younger. Now, this is not to say that, oh my goodness, Monique, I'm 45. And you know what? I was already giving up when I was listening to this webinar anyway, but we just customize it to you, right? Again, I love TV, okay? I love it. But at the same time, all those actors got paid already. They're not on screen while you're watching them. Give up to go up, and it's only for a period of time. It doesn't mean for the next 30 years, right? You're older, you're smarter, you're wiser. You can get stuff done a lot faster. Next. This is kind of like we're getting, wrapping up on becoming an owner, not a loaner. And really what that means is stop lending your money out, right? Typically, a lot of us, we put our money in the bank and the bank just holds it. And the bank loves us. Again, has the bank ever written you a happy birthday card? Do you understand that our direct deposit goes to our banks on a regular? Has anybody ever gotten a happy birthday card from their bank? You do know that when they sit at their board meetings, they could advocate for that, right? They could go, you know what, guys? For our 13 million clients that we have, why don't we all send them birthday cards? Just let them know we care about them. Again, I only say this to impress upon you. They could, they don't, okay? So we want to bypass the middleman and utilize the accounts that we talked about, such as a Roth IRA, a traditional IRA, and there's a plethora of more like a municipal bond. Nat talked about it, right? She talked about it in the middle bucket where you have money that you know that you might need. You know what's happening. You're going to need new tires at some point, right? You know your family's going to need to take this amazing vacation to Italy at some point, right? Everybody's going these great trips now, right? You know it's coming. Don't you want to make some money on your money while you're waiting for those times? Because some people plan trips and weddings for 3 to 4 years down the line. Get the best rate of return for your money while you know those things are occurring, right? Look, I don't care. If you own a home, something's going to break. Something's going to happen. You're going to need a new boiler. The boiler is brand new. It's pristine. It's still going to happen, right? So you need a bucket of money of, look, we have to be logical. We're human beings. We know something's going to come up. Okay, and one of the things that we talk about, especially in that middle bucket that we talk about with our families, is your emergency account has to be your own household. Ooh, right? Your emergency bucket has to be your own household. So unless you are maintaining their lifestyle, everyone outside of that household is not an emergency. So when your cousin, your friend, that friend, they're not your financial emergency, which is why we definitely press upon, if you love what you heard today, please share to your people in your circle, because when we help you get better, guess what they're going to do? They're going to come to you. So I tell all my clients, this is what you say to your friends and family when they come to you for money. Man, my advisor has everything tied up. I don't. But it's the way that they are now thinking about themselves by putting themselves first, right? Because their emergency bucket has to be for an emergency. Natalie also talked about how many people can you call in the next 5 minutes that will come and drop off $1,000 to you right now and not worry if they ever get it back. So please pay yourself first, like Natalie talked about in the beginning of the presentation. Pay yourself first, right? So as we wrap up, I just want to say thank you so much for hosting us, right? We just want to let you know that you can do this. There is nothing in the way. It's just a muscle we haven't exercised enough. And as a coach, Natalie and I are coaches, and all of our goal and responsibilities is really just to keep going. You can do it. What? I have a client call me like, yo, can I buy the Range Rover? And I'm like, you can afford to buy a Range Rover, but do you really need it? I thought you talked about paying off. And she's like, okay, I remember. But if she didn't have someone to bounce off of, it would have been her and her friends, right? So now to go back to the last slide, right? You can do this, right? There's a war. And as much as I try not to make light of this, it has always been a financial war, right? Those who have, those who don't. And because I come from the psych field, we use excuses. We use excuses of where we're from, our social class, access to information. At the end of the day, boo-hoo, right? Because I could claim a lot right now if you look at me, right? At the end of the day, you live in the United States. At the end of the day, we typically know some of the steps that we need to take. And if you're not getting the results that you want, it might just be the smallest thing, which is not doing it alone. Again, success always comes with other people, right? So there is a war. I hope you all took note of, I almost said 9/11. Whoops, that just happened. Acknowledge that. But I hope, and that's even something that our whole world thought we were going to shut down when that happened, right? And we still prevailed. But COVID happened. Guys, I still showed up as a nurse during COVID. My entire family told me to quit nursing. Number two, we had the inflation crisis that just occurred. Guys, if we don't man up, and I use that word for men and women, okay? If we don't man up, don't worry. Government has a plan for you, baby, okay? Let's go, government funded everything, okay? And, just thank you so much. I absolutely adore these times that I get to just share with people. You can always see Natalie and I, this was not our career. There was nothing on the horizon. that was ever going to show me or Natalie, you know what, I'm going to be talking to people about this, right? But again, it's simple information. It's just utilizing it and taking action. So without further ado, we'll just go back to our host. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Wow. So listen, okay, let me just say this because this was so amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Natalie. Thank you, Monique number 2, right? Monique number 2. I want to just say this. First of all, I'm sitting here in the background and I'm taking notes, and I just want to say, I had to keep saying ouch because you stepped on my toes so many times. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Oh, that's right. Oh my goodness, that sounds like me. But one of the things that I want to stress to women, because, my mom did it, my grandmother did it, her parents did it, the brothers and sisters. It's time to break those piggy banks. The days of the piggy banks and you start a new bank every time a new child was born, and you talked about children being born and when you start. And one of the things that I made a conscious effort to do with my two, because I have 2 grandsons, with my 2 grandsons, is to say, you know what, there's no more banks. Okay, no more banks. What we're going to do is actually start their college accounts now. So I want to thank you for talking about that. And every time I put a question in, it's like, I don't know if you could read my mind or if something was going on, but you answer the questions. But I have a few things that I just wanted to go over. And again, the presentation was excellent. Goodness, I mean, there were so many mic drops. I don't know if the audience heard, but did you hear about your emergency account being in your own household? Did you understand what was being discussed when Monique talked about educating our children in terms of financial literacy? Dr. Natalie talked about an emergency is not a sale at Macy's. Dr. Natalie, that wasn't nice. Okay.
Tough love.
Right. But I got it. I got the message. When you talked about liquid, like how much do we spend in liquid weekly, $100, I'm pretty sure there are a lot of viewers where we could say we spend about $100 in a couple of days in liquid and Uber Eats and DoorDash and all of those different things. And you think about this money, how we're spending it, and then not having access to it. So I had a couple of things regarding life insurance. And as you were speaking, I'm like, you know what? How many Americans, I was thinking about how many Americans actually have life insurance coverage outside of their employment? So I did a little search. And what I came up with is 54% of Americans have life insurance through their employer. So that means, heaven forbid, right? Like COVID-19, there were some layoffs. Things happen. You lose your job, or you get laid off, or you leave your job, or even you retire. And for those that retire, you might have backup plans. But if you don't have another life insurance policy outside of your employer's life insurance policy that they provide you, that's the issue. So if you can just speak to that. And also for those that are a little older, you know what, I'm not going to use the word older. I'm going to say for those mature individuals, for those mature individuals that have not started investing and that do not have a life insurance policy. And when I say mature, I'm speaking about 50 plus. What is it that group of women and men, what can they do, or what should they do right now to get coverage?
Well, I'll jump in right there. So I hope you understand that we are extremely empathetic, because this is not a me solar thing. If you're alive, you have older people in your life, right? So you definitely are empathetic, right? And 55 is still very young, believe it or not, in the insurance world. But for someone who's older, because this is a 2-part question. You said, what do you do for the insurance? And what was the other part of the question?
And the other question was, so what do you do for the life insurance? And then how important is it to have an additional policy outside of a policy, just the policy with your employer?
So if you actually probably even Google, the generation right now that's springing up is they're changing jobs in their lifetime probably 6 times. So the problem with that is that Like if they don't have a policy outside of work. Okay, so as a nurse, I say this to my clients, every 10 years, you are probably on the threshold of a new diagnosis. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to happen. It's just your predisposition just based on age straight for a new diagnosis. So if you don't lock in life insurance early in your life, you're banking on, hope I don't have hypertension yet, hope I don't have diabetes, hope I haven't gained weight, because that is now actually locking you out of the opportunity to either have life insurance or a rate that you can afford. So that's one thing. The next thing now is having it solely at a job when, again, you can't control if you get laid off. I mean, I saw people laid off in nursing and you're thinking, how's that possible? Oh, it's possible, okay? So there's no job, if you don't own it, anyone can let you go out of no fault on your own. We've seen it time and time again. People have been let go from jobs that they've been 20, 30 years from. Now, because again, we're not educated and we have some ignorancy in this area, we would never look elsewhere for a plan outside. And I had an unfortunate effect with unfortunate conversation with somebody who worked for an insurance company, a big insurance company. They promised him life insurance for life. Now, guess what they did? The moment he retired, they sold his plan to a subsidiary account. So he was no longer affiliated with the big name company. That small company went bankrupt and they closed all the plans.
Oh, wow.
He was sick and he said, Monique, the only thing left I have of value is my house. If I die, my wife's going to lose the home. What can you do for me? Now, and he said, if I had known to get a second account when I was healthy, I wouldn't be in this situation. But I also backed it up with, where's his cash? This man has been working for over 60 years. Why is he so broke? Why is life insurance the only thing we're talking about as a solution to this problem? So when you're young and healthy, you invest, you have a great life insurance, because if you die young, you have it, but if you live long, you have money. But when you're older now and you have and there's a need like you just shared, second question, right? What do you do when you're older? Now we got to really look at your lifestyle, right? I had a gentleman, he was 50-ish years old, dating, and he owned a home. The home was almost paid off. His kids are grown. His needs are smaller. He doesn't need the Maserati policy like I do with an extend, things are going to happen if I'm not here. He needs something small so the rest of the money can go to his nest egg. And that's where the confusion occurs. Now, after 70, it starts getting itchy. It starts getting with all these fine lines that you got to read on. Look, if you're over 70 and you're looking for a plan, I would really recommend reaching out to Natalie and I.
Yeah.
They sound good, but remember, it's still a business. They don't want you to die, right? So there's things in the plan. So it might not be 100% favorable. It sounds good. It's not every company, but I'm just saying, you can see me moving around protecting companies, right? It's just difficult. And it's the saddest part of my industry when I have a family member who I just helped and they go, Monique, my mom, how old is she? Why doesn't she have money? We are trying to protect her for $30,000. You mean to tell me between your whole family, you guys can't calculate some money, put it to the side and leave it if this woman unfortunately passes away? You're willing to pay this extreme amount for something the whole group should have been working on for 30 years?
Right.
That's when I get angry because I go, this is all of us.
Right.
Mom has no money, she doesn't have retirement, and you're talking about she needs life insurance now. Why? Right? So I hope that answered two parts. 55, 70, you're in the game. We just honestly make a financial needs analysis based on exactly where you are. Find out what you need, not anybody else, you. And look, Natalie and I are tough on our 30-year-olds. You will get a weird blank stare when I hear a family member talking about, we're paying my son's car insurance.
Yeah.
I love you, but I'm like, just listen to my client, like, can I be your kid? Because I remember paying my own car insurance at 21. What happened that you afforded your child this great discount to 30?
Mhm.
Well, I know what. And they laugh because they know inherently they shouldn't be doing this long. And it's a lot longer than, these are not incompetent children. These are just, well, we understand the society and they live in your home, they don't pay you rent. Well, we want to give them a break. Do you understand? I'm this group and I'm hard on this group because I'm thinking about the parents. They got to eat. Where are the parents that we take care of going to do when I said, well, you have no money because you've been funding a grown child for the last 15 years?
Yeah,
So that's where our advocacy really,
got to go to investment.
yeah, we kick in for that. So I hope that question was
Yes,
answered.
that was good. So I have one more, I had a few more questions, but I'm going to break them down. I have one more question. And what I wanted to bring up and ask about was the benefits of brokerage accounts. So I was doing some research and I came across a couple of things online and they talked about brokerage accounts and how great they were, even in terms of having them for additional income. What's difficult is that you don't have access to someone that can coach you or guide you. And if you don't understand, for me, if you don't understand stocks and trading and how that works, I'm not sure if it's actually beneficial. So my question is, are brokerage accounts beneficial? And is that something that you recommend that we look into or consider?
I'll answer this super fast. Yes. And again, it's so customized, like it's so, there's so many different accounts that I have to honestly look at where you are. And I know it's just like a brush stroke, but it is a brush stroke, right? It's based on where you are, what your risk tolerance is, how you want to manage your investments. We are literally the middleman completely. All we do is just go, that's the direction you want to go, that's it, right? We're not coercing, we're educating you. But again, it's so customized to the point that I've had clients go, Monique, if the market drops like 5%, I'm done. Whoa, well then, okay. This girl was in her 30s. Mm-hmm. Because of educating her, I was able to help her. And then she had an uptake in the market for an extra 12K in her account. Now, was she happy about that? Yes, she was just misinformed. But there are other people who you let people do what they want, educate them, maybe make some different suggestions. But I mean, absolutely, yes, go investigate, get some answers. The worst thing is being at the end and going, I coulda, shoulda, woulda. If I had a conversation with somebody who asks nothing from me but time and to teach me, brilliant. So I hope that helped.
It did. It really did. Let me just make sure I don't have anything else on here that I thought, okay. So let me just say that this was great. The education was great. I cannot wait to continue to share. I have shared it on all of our social media channels. For everyone that is viewing, please share this with your families. One of the things that was stressed in the beginning is it is different to have a financial coach than to not have one. We have coaches in every other areas, careers and business. Those of us that are entrepreneurs, we have coaches in branding. But one of the things that we don't think about is to have a financial coach, someone that we can speak to and go to ask questions and that will educate us in the best decisions to make financially. So Dr. Natalie, Ms. Russell, thank you so much. Dr. Natalie, can you put your information up on the screen for us one more time? Yeah, so we know how to get in touch with you. And I am super excited. Look, this was just part one. I really feel like we need to talk about life insurance. We need to also talk about investments because I think that that's important. And I'm so tired of getting information in the mail, like Gerber, why are they only offering $10,000? What are my other options? And then why isn't there anyone that I can call that I trust to really walk through and talk about some of these things? And the other thing is, What Ms. Russell and Dr. Natalie said is right. When's the last time you got a call from your bank, your financial institution, whoever you have your investments with, and they just simply said, hey, how are you doing? Or hey, happy birthday, or let me check on you. There's some other things that we have to offer. So what I really want to do is make sure everyone knows that there are consultants and educators here for you. And look, I want to say that this is for the CIS Network, so I'm just going to go ahead and say it. For the CIS Network, Dr. Natalie is giving complimentary financial needs analysis. So if you want information, Dr. Natalie's information is here on the screen. We have the email address, zaharacrown@gmail.com. Also the phone number. Dr. Natalie, Ms. Russell, thank you so much. Is there anything that you would like to leave our audience with before we close?
Natalie has a gift to also give to everyone who gets a free complimentary analysis. Natalie, what's that gift you'll give away to all of them?
Oh, they're gonna get this free, the presentation. They're gonna also get this presentation. Is that what you're talking about, Monique?
It's actually going to be in a workbook form. So
Oh,
they're
the
going to actually have this not in a presentation form, but a workbook form. What?
Yeah.
That is awesome. Thank you. And if you, okay, so I know I'm interested because I want to go back to that page with the Roth IRA and those contributions. I'm like, I need that. I was trying to take too many pictures of the screens here. So listen, if you are like me and you want this information, you want to get educated, you want to do better financially, and you want to, again, empower your family and your children and your grandchildren, contact Dr. Natalie, zaharacrown@gmail.com, and also the phone number 516-476-2592. And what I'll also do is go back and put the email in the comments for all of our broadcasts. Thank you once again. This has been great. Listen, everyone, tune in, stay tuned. We're going to do this again. We're going to talk about investments and we're going to talk about life insurance. Have a great evening, everyone.
Looks like it's still on.